Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates has a lot of hype behind it right now, and honestly, rightfully so. I mean, let's keep it real. Carlos has been on a tear. Dude's fought 4 times in the UFC last year, and every single one of those fights ended in a knockout, first or second round. That's the kind of run that builds an aura around you, where fans start paying attention every time your name pops up on the card. He didn't just show up, he made a statement. Now, originally, this was supposed to be Carlos versus Jeff Neal, which was already a fun matchup on paper, but Neal pulled out, Ian Garry stepped in, and credit to him for that. Say what you want about Ian, but the man's not afraid to take a tough fight on short notice. And the truth is, this might be a way worse matchup for Carlos than Jeff Neal would have been. Jeff Neal would have been a completely different type of fight for Carlos. Neal is a heavy-handed southpaw boxer who's more willing to stand in the pocket and trade. It would have been a fire fight, probably Carlos's kind of fight, honestly. That would have come down to who lands clean first. There wouldn't have been much grappling, not much movement, just pressure and bombs flying. But Ian, he's not going to give Carlos that kind of fight, because Ian isn't just well-rounded, he's a high level everywhere. He's evolved so much as a fighter. Early on, he was a flashy striker with potential, but now he's mixing in the grappling, fighting smart, and showing real composure under fire. We've seen him get tested, we've seen him make adjustments mid-fight. He's not just in there to entertain anymore. He's in there to win, and he's using all the tools to get it done. That's what makes this such a dangerous fight for Carlos. Ian's gonna bring the kicks, the footwork, the range, the clinch work, the takedowns, all of it. And we still haven't seen Carlos deal with that kind of diversity in a fight yet. That's the biggest what if here. Now look, I don't think Carlos is gonna get fraud checked if he loses. Those words get thrown around a lot way too easily these days, and to me it's not about being fake or overhyped. I just think the UFC might be pushing him a little too fast too soon. Like, he's clearly talented, he's got that knockout power, and he's riding a wave, but this matchup with Ian is a big leap, and if he doesn't come out on top, that doesn't mean he's not legit. It just means that he ran into someone who already been through the fire. But yo, if Carlos wins, man, that's a statement. That's not just another win. That's a holy shit, this guy might actually be the welterweight version of Alex Pereira kind of win. And let's be honest, the sport needs that right now. Someone raw, someone exciting, violent, and new. A guy who could turn the lights out and bring chaos to the division. That starts to stack up with the grinders and safe game plans. That'll be huge for the fans. With all that being said, I still lean Ian. He's just too polished, too experienced. He's been in there with real killers, and he's shown that he can adjust and stick to a strategy. That's a big difference. Carlos has been starching dudes, sure, but it's been guys on the lower end of the roster. We're talking about fighters with sketchy records, questionable chins, and not a lot of defensive awareness. Ian does get hit a lot, but he's got a composure, timing, and the ability to weather the storm. So yeah, this ain't about fraud checking. This is just a test to see where Carlos actually is. And if he passes it, bro, we might have a new contender that's way more real than people expect. But until then, I think Ian's just a little too much too soon. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Carlos can't win, because he absolutely can. One clean shot from him could change everything in just an instant. But if we're talking about odds, if we're talking about who's got way more ways to win, who's more tested at this level, you gotta admit the deck is kind of stacked against Carlos heading into this one. And that's where Ian really has the edge. It's not just that he's well-rounded, it's that he knows how to use it. Like, we've seen guys with tools before, but Ian actually puts them together in real time. He's not out here trying to force anything. He'll read you, take what you give, and break you down over time. That's high-level stuff. Think about his fight IQ. Look at the way he approached the MVP fight. Everyone expected a flashy kickboxing match, but Ian flipped the script. He didn't even entertain the striking chess matchup. He took the smart route, clinched, wrestled, controlled. That's a guy who's not out here to try to prove a point. He's trying to win. That's scary for someone like Carlos, who thrives when the fight becomes a striking battle. And even when he does strike, Ian's no slouch. He's long, he uses his kicks well, he's got a great jab, and he knows how to manage distance. You make one lazy step forward and he'll counter you. He's not just throwing hands, he's thinking through exchanges. Another big reason Ian could win, he doesn't need a fast start. Carlos is super explosive early, he's a fast starter, but Ian doesn't mind giving him the first 2 minutes just to download information. He's patient, and over the 3 rounds, the patient turns into control. The longer the fight goes, the more it plays into Ian's hands. He starts fighting his rhythm, and once that happens, he becomes really hard to deal with, especially for someone like Carlos, who hasn't had to go to the distance in the UFC yet. Plus, let's not forget, Ian's been in there with a wide variety of styles. He faced aggressive brawlers, clean counter strikers, unorthodox movers, and he found a way to win in all those matchups. That's experience right there. that experience matters. With Carlos, we don't know how he handles adversity yet. We don't know how he deals with a guy who mixes things up, makes him uncomfortable, and drags the fight to a place he hasn't been before. So yeah, Ian's got a lot going for him here. Experience, composure, a deeper tool bag, and the ability to adapt mid-fight. If he stays disciplined and doesn't get drawn into a firefight, he can absolutely take this, and honestly, he might make it look like a veteran schooling a rising contender. Now, don't get me wrong, Carlos Prates could have spent this entire camp leveling up his grappling defense, and honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if he did. Like, we've seen the story before, a dangerous striker finally gained that big step up, and everyone's doubting his ground game, and then boom, they come in with a solid takedown defense, clean hips, and surprise everyone. For all we know, Carlos has been stuffing every shot in the gym and drilling wall walks for a week straight. And if that's the case, if he's able to keep this to a stand-up fight, that's when things get scary, because Carlos on the feet is a real problem. He's not just a brawler, he's calculated. He throws everything with power, but he picks his shots well. He's got that tall, rangy Muay Thai stance, and when he's flowing, it's dangerous. Kicks, elbows, knees, it's all coming at you fast and clean. And the scary part, he doesn't need a bunch of volume to hurt you. One mistake, one opening, and he'll make you pay for it. That's the risk for Ian. You can't be winning rounds, controlling the pace, doing the right things, and then Carlos lands one clean shot and suddenly the whole fight shifts. Alright, so let's get real about this, because as good as Ian Garry is, and as much as he's improved, the one thing he can't do in this fight is go toe-to-toe with Carlos Prates in a pure striking battle. He just can't. And here's why. Carlos Prates isn't just a striker, he's a killer on the feet. There's a big difference between someone who can strike and someone who's truly dangerous every second a fight stays standing. Carlos is explosive, he's accurate, and he throws with mean intentions. Like, when he hits you, it's not just to score points, it's to end the fight. You can feel the violence in his shot. And Ian, for all the technical ability that he's shown, there's still defensive holes that are going to be risky if he just tries to trade. One of the biggest things that stand out that with Ian is that he pulls straight back from exchanges. Instead of slipping or angling off, he leans with his head high. And that's huge. That's a huge red flag against a sniper like Carlos. I mean, go back and watch the Jordy and Williams fight. Williams didn't land a punch of volume, but he timed that lean perfectly and cracked Garry clean in the first round. Same thing with Song Kanan. Not a world beater by any means, but he blitzed and caught Ian in between his movements and dropped him, and it was a real moment of danger. The truth is, Ian's defense is built around controlling distance and rhythm. He wants to be the one that's dictating the fight where it happens. On the outside, using long kicks, jabs, mixing in movements. But if Carlos bites down and starts walking him down, putting pressure on him, that rhythm breaks. Carlos throws in combinations, mixes up levels, and uses his length aggressively, and once he finds his range, he's deadly. Here's another piece to it. When Ian gets into the striking exchanges, he doesn't have the same pops in his shots. He's more of a volume guy. He'll out-technique you, outpace you, but he's not putting guys out cold with one shot. Carlos is. Carlos doesn't need 5 clean punches to get the job done. He needs one. One straight left, one knee up the middle, one counter elbow, that's all it takes. So if Ian thinks he can just sit in the pocket, trade shots, and win minutes on the feet, that's a dangerous assumption. Because even if he's winning the rounds, all Carlos needs to do is one read, one adjustment, and it's a wrap. You don't go toe-to-toe with a dude who's built to end your night with a single shot. With all that being said, I really do think Ian Garry's going to catch Carlos at some point during this fight. Not necessarily knock him out. I don't see that happening. I don't think it's going to be that one-sided dominant performance from Carlos either. I just see this fight overall being competitive, especially early on. But over time, I think Ian's going to edge out rounds. He's slick, he knows how to steal moments, and even though he hasn't been finishing guys lately, he's been smart about managing the pace and doing enough to stay ahead. Now, let's talk about a factor I don't hear many people bring up, and that's the cardio aspect. Apparently, Carlos smokes cigarettes, and I get it, that's kind of wild, like it's almost got that cool street brawler edge to him. But at the end of the day, you're in a cage for 25 minutes, and that's where it really can start to cost him, especially in a 5-rounder fight. That's the kind of habit that catches up to you. I see Carlos slowing down by the third, not completely falling apart, but just enough for Ian to start controlling things, landing the cleaner shots, maybe even mixing in a little clinch control. He's gonna get hit, sure, but Ian's defense isn't terrible. He's shown that he can stick to a game plan, and as long as he doesn't get dragged into a war, I think he keeps it technical, plays it smart, and pulls away late. Bottom line is, I think Ian Garry's going to win this fight by unanimous decision. Nothing flashy, nothing crazy, just smart, clean work over 5 rounds, while Carlos fades just enough for the judges to notice.